Ah, there we are. There we are. What was that noise? You gonna make
Stretching.
it? You gonna make it over there?
I don't know. Been a busy day.
Oh, tell me about it. It's been a busy weekend, man. I got 1, 2, 3, probably about 7 stove covers I got to do this week too. So it's been a wild one. I got to get my table cleaned off. I got all this stuff set up on my table, so I'm gonna try to get that cleaned off where I can get some stove covers made.
I have such a mess of moved machines and tables around here, and yeah, I don't know if you can hear that, a little bit of rumbling in the background from thunder.
I thought it was your stomach growling.
No, but it might have something to do with Vikings pulling out an awesome win today.
Well,
Much better than last week.
yeah. Some folks is pointing out it's 10 days on the calendar. Technically, the way things has worked out with all my vacation and time, I only got 2 more working days. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna be like filling the coffee pot and
Well, I'm gonna be
shredding all paper, and
I did that last week. So I've been going through my drawers in my desk and my closet in my office, and like I've been compressing and putting stuff where it needs to be. So yeah, not a whole lot to do in the next couple of days, but it will be officially Wednesday. I'll be out here from that point forward, unless things start going bad, and then I'll be looking for a job. So y'all may be able to see me at local Walmart, or I figure if I have to go to work in retail, I'd rather go to Tractor Supply, Home Depot, Lowe's, something like that, maybe. But hopefully it won't come to that.
Tractor Supply is too small up here. I'd go for Fleet Farm or Menards, Home Depot.
Well, we don't have a Fleet Farm, so we'll see.
Well, when you come and visit, you can come check it out.
Yeah,
it's literally right across the street from Menards, which is also right across the street from Home Depot. Which is funny thing. Tractor Supply is this little tiny building right in the middle of them all.
Well, here we don't have anything other than a local chain hardware store and Tractor Supply. That's pretty much all we got. We used to have an Ace Hardware. It closed down. So
yeah, our Ace Hardwares went away as well. And we lost our Lowe's, but they were off kind of away from the little trifecta plus Tractor Supply there. So that didn't help them. But plenty of choices. I was actually at Menards just yesterday.
Cool.
I picked up playing with the OmniX. My video will hopefully be out tomorrow. Got a little delayed. Had absolutely nothing to do with the Vikings game. Distracted me today. But I did pick up some glass tiles to do a little more testing on. And it's really hard to see what's going on there. But what I was trying to do is try to get more of the internal. And you can kind of see there.
Yeah.
It was.
You kind of did it.
Yeah, trying to do a little like subsurface stuff. And part of this was just to show that really the 3D subsurface engraving really needs that crystal glass and not just any glass.
Yeah, that has to be perfectly clear.
Well, and perfectly clear acrylic, it just passes right through. It doesn't do anything to these blocks. So
yeah, I've tried a couple of acrylic awards that I had, the award blanks that mark, pretty decent with the Omni one, and I was going to try to do it, and like you. I was just like, okay, this is not doing anything. I mean, every now and then you can see like a little flake in there, probably an impurity or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it wasn't working. So yeah, it's a unique thing. I think I got an email. I think it was today that I believe my case of crystals that I ordered are on their way. Like that, I ordered them from Commarker a couple of weeks ago, but they were on a slow boat for a little while, but I think they're actually on a truck now.
I think so. I ordered, they have 2 different sizes. They've got the 50 by 50 by 100, and then they have 50 by 50 by 50. So I ordered one of each to play around. And I think I may have gotten a notice as well, and I won't be able to see if we can find out. Hopefully that's going to arrive this week. And yeah, it'll be fun to do a little more playing with that.
Yeah, the tracking on mine it's showing it's coming from Banyan Imports or whatever. But that's got to be what it is because that's the same tracking number that I was sent with my com marker order.
Oh, mine looks like mine might be here tomorrow.
Cool. Yeah, 9/22 is when mine's supposedly going to be delivered. Luckily, I ain't got to sign for it because I'm gonna tell you what, Fox Alien's getting on my nerves with this whole having to sign for stuff.
Yeah,
I took off work because I had to sign for a package the other day with FedEx, and then FedEx sent me a notice that afternoon and said, "Hey, we're not going to make it today. It'll be tomorrow before we arrive with your package." And I'm like, "Seriously? I took off work for this." I'm really starting to not like FedEx.
Yeah. Well, I went to drop off something the other day, and there was a commercial realty sign in front of the building. I'm going, wait a minute. So yeah, it's I will give them this. They tend to deliver earlier in the day for me, whereas UPS, I feel like it stays on the truck till the end of the day, and they travel every single dusty gravel road possible of the rural area around me before dropping stuff off. So by the time I get the box, I have to like,
put your lab coat on,
blow it off to see what it is. It's just they're dirty.
You got to put your lab coat on and then blow it off with the leaf blower before you take it in the shop.
Yeah. So I will. I mean, FedEx too. I think they do the whole Scotty with the enterprise things. They tend to overestimate, and so usually when I get the tracking information, they say, "Oh yeah, it's going to be Wednesday," and all of a sudden, probably 50% of the time, it comes a day early for me. So I don't know, but yeah, they're also, it's hit or miss whether you get actual FedEx or you get the ground, which is, subcontractors that would rather play soccer with your package than deliver it.
Yeah. Dave's asking, anybody know where to source marble blanks for awards? I've seen some stuff. JDS has, I don't know if it's actual marble, but they have some different kinds of like rock blanks.
Here's the case that if you have a local monument dealer or creator, like for headstones and such, talk to them. A lot of times they do custom cuts and they have offcuts, and they'll either cut one to you and sell it to you fairly inexpensively, or if you don't need something that's, like if you're okay with the rough cut size, it doesn't need to be polished and finished on everything. Sometimes they'll sell you the offcuts for just a scrap weight kind of thing. So I've had some luck with that. But yeah, it's hard to find real marble at anything retail. You pretty much have to order it.
Yeah. Got quite a few folks from Bama in here today. I've seen Mobile, a couple of other places in Alabama. So I got some of my neighbors here today. That's cool. Yesterday, we went to a YouTube meet and greet with a bunch of the farming channels and stuff up at Pedals from the Past, and kind of walked around, met some folks. I got some video just of the event while I was walking around that I'm going to try to put something together and put it on my other channel, but it's pretty cool. There was folks from all over the place came to see some of the bigger, farming, homestead channels or whatever. And but man, it was hot. They had invited me to come up there and set up and have like a booth, but I was like, So me and Brandy decided we wanted to just like be able to walk and do our own thing. And we had a ball game last night and not before last, Friday night. And so we didn't really want to get up early Saturday morning. So we're like, okay, we'll just go walk around. And I think that was a good decision because it was 94 out there yesterday. Mm-hmm. No clouds. I mean, it was hot. So that was a good thing.
Yeah, I'm ready for fall. I mean, that just means winter is going to come, but
yeah,
I don't know. Me and hot weather. I'm done with it.
Yeah,
I'm ready for a flannel. I'm ready for my hoodies. I'm ready to have to kick on the heater out here a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, Steven's saying that love you guys showcasing the Atomstack CNC. It looks awesome. It is not perfect. This is the first time they've built a CNC that I'm aware of. There are a couple of things that I know me and Steve both have had to make some adjustments to some of the drive system. It's not a rigidity problem as far as the build goes. It's some of the connections and some of the adjustments with some of the parts needed a little work. And matter of fact, I was adjusting on my Z axis because I had adjusted the X and the Y, and I decided I was going to adjust the Z today, and I broke my limit switch. So I'm kind of at the mercy of Atomstack right now, getting me a limit switch because a lot of CNCs usually come with a couple in case you wiping it down and you break one or whatever. But they didn't send us any with this one, and so that little foot that breaks off of them so easy. Yeah, I snapped that one right off. And if I'd have known where the thing was, I would have took it off and got it out of my way. But I wasn't paying attention to it, and it was kind of hid inside the Z axis. And next thing I know, I'm moving parts around, and I hear ting, and I knew what that noise was when I heard it. I was like, no. So I've got a bunch of limit switches because, like I said, every one of these little CNCs, generally they'll send you two or three of them with it. Genmitsu's really good about that, but none of them are the same as the one that's on the Atomstack. So yeah. I emailed Atomstack. It was like, hey, I need a couple of limit switches because I broke one. It works. It just you can't home it because it doesn't have the Z axis doesn't have a limit switch on the top right now. So I was gonna just keep using it. Just I can't home it. That's the only downside. And I have found doing this 3D engraving because I've powered my machine off at night. I do the roughing pass, power the machine off. Next morning, power it up, home it, and then do the finishing pass on the material. And it's consistent. That's one thing I'll give it. It is consistently homing and going back to exactly the same spot. So I did. Some of y'all may have saw it. This was the first time I did one of these. I downloaded this file off Etsy because I was like, I don't have Aspire, and so I was like, you know what? Like, I think it was like $5. So it's like I'm downloading the file. But yeah, that piece of oak, and it is wavy and made into a flag. So it's pretty cool. The spindle is not as powerful as some, but it's capable of doing stuff. But doing something like that is going to take a long time. The upgraded spindle is a 500 watt. For some reason, I was thinking it was a 600 watt. But I think the factory one's what, a 200, 300?
Yeah, the default one if you get the lower package, it's 200, or you can upgrade to the 500 watt package. Yeah. Now, I did ask them early on, are you going to have a 65 millimeter spindle mount for trim rounders and other things? And it sounded like they were working on it. I don't know that they have it right now. So that would be one thing I'd like to see, to really have it be really comparable to the options for the other benchtop units that we've been looking at. But overall, yeah, like what you said, is they definitely did their research. They didn't just slap a 100 watt spindle on a open frame, 20 by 20 extrusion laser frame and call it a CNC machine. They've actually worked at something that's really more purpose built. So I've only done initial carves. I kind of got a little behind with some other things and getting caught up. But yeah, I liking what I'm seeing so far between cable management and control. Seems to be pretty decent for, it's compared to its similar desktop 40 by, actually this one's 420 by 420, I believe.
Yeah, so it's in that 420, 400 range.
Yeah, so it's in that range, in the price range, so it'll be interesting to see how it really fares with some of my typical projects.
Yeah, like I said, the only problem that I've had with it so far is the when you put it in a bind, I've had some slippage, and that we've kind of come to the conclusion that that's a combination of the connecting point between the lead screw and the stepper, as well as needing some adjustment in the backlash nuts for some reason the backlash nuts were really, really tight, and all of that resistance combined with the way that the stepper connects to the lead screw, it was allowing it to slip right there at the connector. So their grease that they're using is more like, it's like more like putting syrup on something. It's sticky. I don't. So I've took mine today. I took it apart, took some LA Simply Awesome, cleaned the lead screw, put this lead screw back in there with a little bit of machine oil, some sewing machine 3-in-1 oil on it, adjusted the backlash nut, and tightened up the connection points, and it was working fine, other than limit switch got broke. But that was on me. So yeah.
Question is, did you get the alligator file off Etsy as well?
Oh yeah, like I said, I've been participating in some Etsy supporting folks here lately. I'll just go on there and search and look for the file that I want, and then of course I look and make sure they're not a fly by night. I think I paid $3 or $5 or something like that for the alligator, and I've used it twice so far. I did the big gator with the other machine. This is the first gator I did I did this with the Fox Alien, the Masuda. That's the one I did with it. And then I was like, I wanted to try the Atomstack out, but like I said, with the smaller spindle, I knew the 3D was going to take a while. So I'm like, I'm just going to use this little scrap piece of wood, and I'm going to downscale it. And so that's what I did. I just scaled it down a little bit and did it on this piece of material here. It done a really good job. The bit selection on this one, I could have went a little smaller with my detail. Of course, it would have made the job time take, a lot longer. But I think I used like a 0.75, and I actually have a 0.5 and a 0.25 tipped ball nose. So I could have got a little more detail, but I think it looks pretty good though. I mean, all things considered.
There's diminishing returns between speed and or the detail and the time involved,
Yeah, because 8% of 0.25 millimeters in step over, that's a pretty high LPI. But yeah, that it turned out really good. And another thing with wood too is if you start trying to get too fine with wood, it's going to chip little pieces. It's just going to fall off. So there is such a thing as too precise, I think.
Yeah, it depends on the type of wood. You get some really, really hard wood that might hold the details well, but for your typical kind of medium hardness material you might be using, there's definitely a finite amount you want to push the fine detail.
Yeah, this is some of that oak that I bought the other day because I was doing those awards for the barbecue competition. And of course, I bought extra in case I screwed up. And I actually did screw up on one. My work holding slipped a little bit, and it chattered it a little bit. And so I've cut it down, and I'm using it for test materials as well. So that's every little piece of material gets used around here. And I stained this with some chestnut. But this is oak also. But I did use some chestnut stain on it before I finished it. And of course, I put some little rubber feet on it because this one's pretty cool. Once I get, I'm going to use these to decorate inside the house once I get all these videos done. But yeah, this one my wife's already said it. She likes it. She thinks it looks cool. So
it's going to capture all the dust when you have it inside.
Yeah. And of course, that guy there I did today. That's that's like 4-hour roughing and 4-hour detail. So that took a minute.
So Santa's Laser Engrave is asking, is there any other advantage that these UV lasers coming out are having over other forms of lasers besides the crystal 3D ability? So the latest iteration of UV lasers has more of that addressable Z-axis. Some of the original ones were more just your 2-axis ones. And they do have some nice features. So one of them being they can do more of a cold cut. It creates a much cleaner cut. So here's a couple pieces of plywood done on the UV laser. And it's, I mean, with CO2, depending on the material, you can get a pretty clean cut, but compared to a diode, it's a lot cleaner. There's a lot less smoke. Doing leather, it creates a lot, it doesn't burn it as much. And so you don't get as much of that bad smell. doing some fabric. So this is some felt. You can cut it out and you don't get that kind of like, you know, the cauterized edge or whatever with it. It remains fairly soft. You know, doing the same thing with, you know, light fabric or paper. You can get detailed cuts without a lot of that extra overburn. This is a business card, and you know, with some of these, you end up having to clean them yet because the diode or the fiber will leave a little bit of residue. This was straight off there, some nice detail without extra cleaning and such. So, and then the other thing being just really fine detail. This is an engraving I did, and it's not going to show very well on this webcam, but it is pretty detailed. This is only about 1 3/4 square. And I didn't even push it. This was, I think, at 500 DPI. The point size on the UV lasers is just, compared to CO2 or even diode, it's so microscopic. Now, the trade-off from that is it's going to take longer if you're doing like a vector engrave to just cover the area. I mean, think of doing a football field with an 18-inch mower deck versus a rider with a 6-foot wide mower deck. It's going to take you a lot longer to cover that same area. But when you want detail, because it's more point based, that's where you would gain that. But yes, right now with a lot of the UV lasers coming out, the big feature is they're adding in that 3D modeling, that subsurface engraving for the crystals, and giving you cool 3D engraved effects like that. So, I miss anything? What are your thoughts on them? I mean, the other thing being that it's just, if you have material you're not sure of, they're a lot more forgiving.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing that I've learned to love. And I did a video on, you know, comparing UVs to fibers, because we get that question a lot. One of the big things that I've started, because that's why you see I've got the Omni 1, the Omni X, and then I've got the 60-watt MOPA. Because pretty much, unless I'm trying to do deep engraving on metal, I'm going to use one of the UVs. Because like I had some folks bring in fishing rods the other day that were made out of some kind of composite material, wanted names engraved on them. And so, you know, you don't even know exactly what kind of material it is. So the UV will mark most anything. And like you said, the dot size is so tiny that if I'm trying to do really small text, I can do it. So the versatility of the UV is, I think, what really sets it off. It's not as fast. Like, and if you want to do acrylic, like engraving acrylic with this UV, it changes the acrylic from red to white, from black to white. Like it doesn't engrave it. It doesn't just like discolor it. It changes it. It looks like you painted it or put a sticker on it. It's white. Matter of fact, I got some right here somewhere. Let me find
it. I'd fire mine up, but it'd be hard to hear me then. That is the downfall of UV lasers, is they take a lot more cooling than your typical source. And so on these, they have a lot of airflow. Now, ComMarker did say that they are switching to they're going to have like some thermistors in there to be able to regulate the fan speed when it's not running and it's not heating up as much. They'll have those spin down, but when it is running, it's a pretty noisy machine. And that's true of the Omni 1 and the Omni X, as well as some other ones I've seen. So not something you're going to be wanting to run, your dining room table and watch TV.
Yeah. See, oh, slippery. Got dust on it. See, that is what you can do with red acrylic. Like, and you can do the different colors, different shades, but you can also do like really, really, really clean detail. This is a metal material. This is like aluminum, but it's coated. And this is some of the stuff that my buddy at Tim up at the trophy shop, this is some of his scrap pile. It turns it white. They use a thunder on this, and they can engrave it. But when they engrave it, it removes the blue and exposes the silver. So the UV turns the blue into white. Same thing with black acrylic. it looked like you painted it or run it through one of them UFIs or whatever. It's got dust all over it too, but it gives you a nice color. This is some red over gold stuff from buddy Tim's scrap pile. This is a little thicker metal, but this is like gold stuff that he uses for like plaques and so forth. And so any material I have put under it so far, it has engraved well. There's some of my final pieces I did with my red acrylic, and you can see the detail is crazy. And this is I think this come from not JDS but Johnson Plastics. So this is some like easily obtainable acrylic. Now, I will say this, the Omni 1, I have actually cut this stuff with the Omni 1 and it does okay, but on my Omni, I've got the bigger lens that gives you the bigger work area. The Omni X, I tried cutting some of it the other day, and I'm assuming it's because of the lens. The smaller lens has a smaller dot size, but it's also really susceptible to focal change because it'll like score it, but it won't cut all the way through it. It's like the beam just fades after about 1.5 millimeters. So I'm assuming it's because it's the same machine, but one's got one lens and one's got the other. So, but yeah, anodized materials. There's your different color shades. It's just the versatility of the materials. Oh, and there's a little Hello Kitty thing that was in the ComMarker software. So the versatility of materials is one of those things that, in my opinion, that is, once you start doing like different materials and different things, that versatility, you sacrifice a little bit of speed compared to a fiber, but you gain the versatility of you can mark anything.
Jer's asking, do you think it would do white on a hockey puck with the UV laser? I haven't tried hockey pucks. I have played around a little bit with silicone, and it generally turns it to like a gray color. So if you have a lighter color, it looks darker. If you have a darker color, it looks almost whiter, but they are pretty much just a shade of gray. I'm not sure on the rubber of a hockey puck how that would differ compared to like silicone, but definitely something to try. I'm sure somewhere around here in Minnesota, I hear Minnesota knows something about hockey. I might be able to find a puck to try.
I'm pretty sure we don't have many hockey teams down here. Brian is asking how much are the crystals costing. The ones I ordered were $5 a piece, I think it was. It was $113 for 12 or
yeah,
10.
They're about 12 for the taller ones. They're about 12 to 13 a piece, and then the smaller ones are like $5 or $6 a piece.
The 100. You'll see how many it was.
So they come in. You can get them. The cheapest way to get them from ComMarker anyway is 10-pack.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that. Let's see. I thought it was view order. I got, how many of them is it? 12. I got 12. Okay, so it's a little more than I thought. I got 12 of them for $113. So that's about 10 a piece. Close to 10 a piece. But now I use my Clack Shack discount code, save $6. I didn't think it would let me use my own code, but it did. So I saved 10% on that. But yeah. Oh, and I got the 100 by 50 by 50. 12 of them for 119 minus discount, come out to be 113. So you might as well say $10 a piece. I thought it was $5, but that was the smaller ones.
Their site is not search friendly for those.
No, you just about got to have a link, which there is one in my videos. because they got them buried. Like they got a bunch of materials on there I didn't even know they had. But you got to get into that material area and kind of navigate from there.
Yeah. So it's a 12-pack or a 6-pack. 12-pack starts at 120, but you can use one of our discount codes. You can't double them up like you can on some of their other machines. One discount code on their materials, I think.
Yeah.
But then they also have a 50 by 50, which is going to be almost impossible to find because some people don't make their websites very well.
Yeah, I just got lucky and found them that day. I don't know why I found them, but I was like shopping around trying to find them, and they weren't there one day, and the next day they popped up. So
I'm going to use the old. Sometimes the search on the website itself isn't good, but if you use Google, it works better.
Yeah.
So the other ones are 50 by 50 by 50 for $65 for 12, or $120 gets you 24. So it's basically the same price, just half the material and half the price.
Yeah, I think they're selling it to you for like what, $5 for a 50 by 50 by 50. So it's like 10 cents per what's that centimeter, cubic centimeter.
So yeah, it's not.
They're not cheap, but I think I can mark them up enough to make it profitable.
If you've got a market for them, they're not terribly expensive. I mean, it's just like hardwood isn't cheap until you got a market for it. So.
Well, just those plaques that I made the other day for that barbecue event, that oak was $85 a board for an 8-foot board, and it took 2 of those boards to make them. So I mean, you figure each plaque was basically a foot of that wood. So let's see, $85, divide that by 8 feet. So you're looking at like what, $8 a piece for the blanks that I did on them, and those were wood. So it's
how thick were they?
3/4.
Oh, that's a little expensive.
Yeah, well, that's Home Depot or Lowe's prices for you.
Oof, yeah.
But it was some good clean oak because I dug through there and I got I got the select.
And there you're paying for, finished 4 sides, whereas if you're buying it from like a hardwood dealer, you might have it finished on 2 sides,
or just straight up
or just straight up roughs on. So
yeah.
And
if I'd have went to a hardwood place and then bought it and then had to come back and plane it and square it and all that, I mean, by the time you figure my time up, probably better off just go ahead and buy the pre-finished boards, especially with this job being, kind of last minute. I didn't have time to be lollygagging around because I needed to get those to them in time for the event.
All right. I got to close the doors. Bugs are starting to come in.
Norbert, if you see me, I'm probably got one within arm's reach. You can bet.
Oh, anyway. Scroll through our comments yet.
Jim saying, can it do black, acrylic, or glass? I'm assuming he's talking about the UV. Yes and yes. The UV can engrave anything.
I think he's asking, can it do black on? Not can it do. So you're not going to get a black engraving from the UV laser.
No, not that I've seen. Now, some of the crystal, if you go over it enough, it starts getting really gray, like really gray, almost black, but it ain't quite black.
Yeah, in my experience, it really struggles with clear acrylic. But with glass, you can do a few passes, you're going to get that frosted white, but you're not going to get a black color to it.
Mm-hmm.
Rob Wilson's asking, which is better for plastics, UV or IR?
UV. Given the choice.
Yeah, given the choice, because UV is going to have better chance cutting it. You're going to get a similar result.
It doesn't melt.
But yeah, if you push it too hard with the IR, it is going to kind of get a little molten and it'll actually bubble up. Whereas with the UV, it's much less likely to have any bad effect like that.
You can do it with the fibers, but I use the UVs now, and so like I mark all of my like the power bricks because there's nothing more frustrating than finding just random power bricks sitting around and not knowing what it goes to. I used to use painter's tape and a Sharpie to keep them situated, but now I throw them up on the UV and mark them. So you can do this with a fiber, but you're going to be gassing off a lot more than you do with the UV. The UV doesn't melt it, and so a lot of times with plastics, especially, the heat will release bad things more so than the UV. You don't want to breathe either one, but you're going to get a lot more heat and a lot more meltiness with the 1064 than you are with the UV for plastics and stuff. So that's why they're kind of my go-to now.
Yeah, I used to do. I'd print out just on regular copier paper, the name of the device it went to, and then I'd use packing tape to tape it on. But the problem is I wouldn't always do that right away.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing like, okay, I'm going to go up, print off a full sheet. I have a thermal printer, but over time, if those, get warm,
they turn black.
They turn black. So yeah, it's a lot easier to use the com marker. As a matter of fact, a buddy of mine he's got my old A30 laser, and he was having some weird issues. And he's like, hey, can I borrow a different power supply just to eliminate that? And so I let him borrow the one from the IKEA 48 watt, which is the same 24 volt, 6 amp output. I said, sure, but hold on, let me mark this real quick. So you know what it is. We threw it on the OmniX and slapped its name on there. So
yeah, they're very versatile, and you can like 3D prints. You can engrave PLA, all of the different filaments for the most part. It's just they're very versatile. Now they're pricey. They are pricey. You can get if you're not going to do a lot of that stuff, and you have an IR module, or if you have like a 20 watt fiber, you can get by a lot cheaper that way than you would buying the UV. But if you do small stuff and you want versatility, then a UV is definitely going to give you versatility.
Papa Ragu's asking, will the UV cut through clear acrylic? Have you even tried that?
I haven't tried clear. I did some like regular acrylic with the Omni 1. I can cut thin stuff with the Omni 1, but now I've got the bigger lens on there too. This one, it came with the small lens on it, and so I just hadn't swapped the lenses because I'm like, this way, it's basically the same machine. This one has the powered Z. This one doesn't. This one has enclosure. This one doesn't. But as far as like just flat engraving, I kind of like having, a lens of each size already on a machine. That way I ain't got to be messing with them.
Yeah. Well, the other thing.
The only way either one of these UVs is moving from this spot is if I get another UV because I like them.
And while it can cut, I mean, like I showed you the plywood earlier, it's multiple passes to get through that. It's not, if you're doing a lot of cutting, it's not the machine to do that. Now, if you're just doing incidental cutting because you happen to, or it's thinner material, yes. But even like glass, you can do the wobble cut to slowly get through it, but it's going to take a while. So it needs to be kind of like the incidental use and not like it's not something you need it to do very often. Otherwise, you're going to be investing a lot of time and running that machine a lot just to get through some things like that. So,
yeah. Michael's asking, how does the UV work on plastics like the AirPods case? It it will make like a gray, like a really dark gray color on most like plastics, like this stuff right here. This isn't an AirPod case, but it's just very similar plastics. It'll make it like a gray color. I don't think I have anything that I've done with the UV per se. Well, here's an air tag. That's not the color you get right there. Because
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I have any.
That's the back side of an air tag, which is probably the same material as an AirPod.
I mean, I've got this little tea light candle. I could try that, but I was trying to find something a little harder plastic. That's white. I could fire mine up real quick. But I don't know that I have anything like that. But yeah, generally it's just kind of a I don't know, like a military gray kind of color.
Hey, look what I found.
Nice. Oh yeah, you know what? That's right. I do have an Apple charger.
Which one we want to use? Which one you got? Which one you going to use?
This is an actual Apple, like legit Apple charger.
Yeah, this is too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's got an Apple under the back of it right there. Yeah, which machine you going to use? I'll use the opposite.
I'm using the OmniX.
I can tell by the sound of it. That's the OmniX.
Of course, I don't have my spare webcam set up.
Yeah. What do you know? I have an observation camera already. All right, let me swap y'all over.
Look at you being all fancy. So what you engraving on there?
My logo, I reckon.
There you go.
Yeah, I know what y'all thinking. Man, that little squaring jig right there with them pins that stick down in that board, man, that's handy. And you would be correct. That's very handy. So, but when people come over here and they're like, hey, can you mark this for me? This is where I go to. Over here to the old Omni. All right. We're going to go to the com marker Omni 1. All right, let me get my measuring tape where I can measure how big it needs to be. All right, so I need a 40 millimeter square and a 30 millimeter shape. So go up here. 40 by 40. Oh, wait a minute. 4D, not 4. Why is my numbers locked? It's not working. There we go.
Oh, I'm way too big.
Make that a frame. Check files, logo. All right, I'm going to my material library. Plastic. And I'm going to assign that to that right there. All right. And let's frame and see what we got.
Mine's already done. So that's a a fairly dark gray engraving on there. I don't quite have the best light on it right now, but hopefully that gives you an idea of engraving on the Apple plastic.
Yeah, have I mentioned how much I want a red framing light on this machine?
Yeah.
Have I mentioned that?
Oh, that thing is noisy. I'm glad I could turn it off. All right.
Mine's not wanting a frame over here. What have I got going on? Wait a minute. Let me go check my USB cable. Give me just a second.
Someone's complexity is failing them now.
Well, somebody has got too many machines over here. And so you got to unplug one when you're not using it. And it appears that I forgot to plug it back up because I unplugged it to run a CNC. Oh, you know what that noise means? I bet that's why it wouldn't frame it. What you want to bet? Yeah. All right. So I need to go back toward the back. About 10. About another 2. I wish you could move the frame while you're doing it. You come left.
Yes.
They come. I know you can. You can do it with electric picker too. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 more. See, once I get this set though. All right.
Yeah. Speaking of powered USB hubs, I'm trying a new one out. Well, I haven't hooked it up yet, but I got this TP-Link one. It's a 7-port with 2 charging ports. So there's 2 charging ports on the end, 7 ports there. So I can try to have the chaos that you have with too many devices hooked up to yours.
Look at that. You can actually see it on that thing.
Yeah, the white objects is kind of nice that you can do that.
All right, here we go. All right, so this is let me get my camera a little closer. There you go. This is my settings for plastic. So we'll see what happens. And like I said, the cool thing is with these UV lasers, you really don't have to worry about, oh, I hope it's sitting too hot and I like cut through it, because it engraves so smoothly and nicely that but it doesn't melt the plastic. And so you don't have to worry about cutting all the way through it and exposing the interior of your object.
Yeah, you can barely feel it on there. I mean, it feels just like a screen printing or something.
Yeah. And this is an Apple brand charger, so I would imagine the Apple plastics for the earpods is probably the same thing. So there we go. Cool. And that's we are. That's we are right there. Yeah. Perfectly centered. And when you put it in the wall, it's gonna look, you're gonna be able to read the Clash Shot logo on it. But yeah, that's why I like the UVs. And I didn't have to do a bunch of testing because it's plastic. And I use that same setting with the black plastic, the red plastic. I mean, acrylics, you can just about use that setting for any plastic and have good results. Now, if you were trying to do something really specific and you wanted to do testing, you can get like a darker engrave sometimes. You can get different colors. But typically, I just run with that setting and get it done. So, there you go.
Yeah. And this one was the default setting in ComMarker Studio as well. So they provide a pretty decent base library for things. I've found on wood, I've had to do a little bit of tweaking. So, and different wood is going to engrave different. So that's definitely, I'm not surprised by that. This was the default settings on wood, which is really light. And so I had to, change it up to get that. But
yeah.
it is nice to see them within their software anyway. They're providing a pretty good base library of material stuff.
Yeah, Brian, you never know what you're gonna hear, man. That's the whole thing. It's unscripted. we're just here having a good time. Yeah, AGT, you can do it with blue diodes, and you can do it with the IR modules too. It's more of a balance when you're using one of those hot lasers than it is with the UV. The UV is just a lot more forgiving. Like, it doesn't melt things like the other machines do. So that's really the biggest thing. Now, it is slower though. I mean,
yeah, I did some 3D stuff before CES with the 20 watt, the ComMarker B6.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's just one of those things where you start fast and work down from there, so you don't melt it as much. But definitely stuff you can play around with. And I was getting a pretty bright white on the black PLA from that. Kevin Rich has a question. With my Reno 65 Pro coming, I need to relearn Lightburn Pro. Any suggestions for a good overview, especially the new 2.0? I think you're going to be okay with most of the Lightburn, like the 1.7. Most of that stuff's going to apply. Some things have moved, though. So that's probably where it might trip you up the most. But I think if you watch any of our videos with Lightburn tips, especially the basics of doing your material testing and such, that's going to be fairly standard. They did move some of those to different menus. So that might trip you up a little bit. But, I don't know that anyone has done like a straight up like getting started in Lightburn in 2.0, but there might be some videos on the changes of that might help you. But I don't think either Clack or I have gone through and done that. Usually ours are more project-based tutorials.
Yeah, the tools do, like you said, the basic tools are the same. They work the same. It's just they're located in different places now. And like some of the controls are just a little bit different. But no, I haven't done anything recently. Yeah, pop. You can use a lot of different sprays. Like I said, I use marking spray in the form of Surmark, which is basically titanium dioxide. 2X white 2X paint from Rust-Oleum is one of the highest content titanium dioxide paints you can buy. So instead of having to try to mix up a bunch of titanium dioxide spray or whatever, if you don't mind cleaning the white spray paint off of it, you can use the 2X and get really nice results. Like you can paint things with 2X white and then engrave black letters on them. And I do that a lot of times with different things that I do. Like if I want to do a picture and I want to do it on wood, I do it on by spraying it with the 2X white. So there's lots of different techniques.
Brad Ham's mentioning, I've seen a video on the new Atomstack Atlier. I haven't even asked how they pronounce that. 12 watt. What are y'all's thoughts? So I have mine sitting over there next to the CNC. I haven't really fired it up yet, just because I said I was getting a little behind. It looks interesting. It's a little bit bigger than the F1. I think it's a little taller, maybe. Very similar in platform and form factor that, but they have that kind of fake leather handle. I think both of us have mentioned some concerns on that. It is also just a 12 watt diode, blue diode laser, as opposed to the original F1 that had the 10 watt blue and the 2 watt IR, although they do have the F1 light, which is just the 10 watt. And yeah, there is the the sliding tray, which if you're going to have one of those, the fixed sliding tray is the way I'd rather have it than the rollers or the conveyors. So we'll see. We got to test it yet. Now it does also have a camera that works in Atomstack Studio. I don't know its compatibility with Lightburn yet. The laser itself or the camera. So it'll be interesting to see how that functions. And I'll be honest, have they posted the price yet of that one?
I haven't seen it, but then I've been busy, so I hadn't really been out there looking for it.
So of course, with all of that, that's going to be one of the determining factors is how does it compare in performance, but also price.
Yeah, so far, it's a decent little engraver. Like if you wanted something that you could throw in a box and take with you to an event to do keychain markings or ornament markings or something like that, so far, it seems to be a good option for that.
So I don't know if this is now they have it listed pre-sale and they're showing it for $5.99, which isn't bad. For the machine only, $6.99 with their conveyor. So for a portable diode only Galvo style, that's not bad.
What'd you say it was? I was
$5.99 for the just the laser itself. $6.99 if you want the little sliding conveyor.
Yeah.
Bundle. But yeah, I mean, so that's, for the price and the fact that it's a Galvo. I mean, it's definitely more than like their P1 or some of those other portables that have a similar working area, but the Galvo is going to be so much faster.
Yeah, like I said, and with that machine too, you also have the capability. Like, let's say you make cutting boards, and all you really want for a laser for is to put like a logo or like some little, cute text or whatever on your cutting boards. With this machine, you can take that bottom plate out and you can engrave through the bottom of it. Yep. One big thing that its looks can be deceiving if you're used to using an F1, the focus knob where like the F1 was powered, like you rocked it one way, it went up and down. With this one, part of the reason it's so much cheaper is because it's basically a twist knob that like raises and lowers the machine. It's not powered, but it works the same. It's just you don't have an electric assist there. You turn that knob, and when you turn that knob, it like lifts the machine or lowers the machine. So they've cut some stuff off of it to be able to get that price point. But so far, I've just done a really good job with the testing that I've done. I've been playing around with lots of different little materials. I don't know what I did with all my little test pieces, but I've been just playing around with most of that. I started out with cardboard and stuff like that because I think that one of the crowds that might like this machine would be like paper crafting people that want to cut out little shapes and engrave things on paper or whatever, because it is very portable, and it's one of those machines that you could like stick on a shelf when you're not using it. And I've done some wood and other materials too. I think I threw them away though. but yeah, I'm getting there. I'll hopefully have a video out pretty soon. But it doesn't have an air assist, so real thick cutting's not something that I would want to do a lot of. But it did cut some 1/4-inch material, but it was very beveled. I gotta find that. Where's it
at? And that's true of any Galvo style laser, is you're going to have that angled cuts and you won't have the air assist option.
Yeah, but I haven't done a bunch of heavy testing or anything on it yet because I've been a little busy with all these other machines. But the other day while I was waiting on a CNC to finish, I went ahead and got it out, started playing with it and testing it. And I think there was a firmware update that I had to install, some other stuff, but it's looking promising so far.
Nice.
Rob says, if you want to get rid of any machines, I'd be happy to drive down from Northern Illinois to pick them up.
Well, Rob, you're closer to me. Northern Illinois. I mean, Chicago is like 8 hours if you follow the speed limits.
Y'all say that, but I've got a meet and greet coming up October the 24th, and I'm going to have a shack clean out. So there's going to be some registrations. I'm going to try like the first week of October. I'm going to go and I'm going to put out some posts, and this is going to be for anybody. This is not going to be just for members only or anything like that. The only catch is it's going to be porch pickup only. But I'm going to have some machines that I'm going to be taking with me to the meet and greet that we're going to be doing, and we're going to be doing a drawing at the event to see who gets to take those machines home with them.
I mean, I got to drive down there to get it.
You got to be present to win, because I can't pack it up. That's the problem, is these are machines that I can't ship. You know how that is. So the people that are going to be there, and I know there's several people have already told me they're coming. So the less people come, the better their chances are. So they're probably not trying to advertise it.
You know, I have made that drive in one sitting.
Yeah, but
I stopped a few.
Machines. Now, I'm not going to say that there aren't going to be some people do it, because right now I know for a fact I'm having at least one good CNC, and I'm probably going to have another one that's not so good, but would work if you wanted something for etching.
So you're saying you might be giving away the Shapeoko when you say not so good?
No, it's not the Shapeoko. But I've got a couple of CNCs that I need to clear space in my shop, and I've got a couple of lasers also that are going to need to go somewhere. I've actually got a couple more possibly that could be here by then. I don't know what the status of them are going to be. I'm hoping that my Ohmtech will be back going here shortly. That one of my tracking numbers that I got is for my power supply for my Polar Plus. If I can get that thing back up and going, there may be a P2 for grabs, because I haven't used that thing in a long time. And I can't do tumblers with it. So that's really a downfall for me.
Well, I need to get caught up on some things here and see. There is a chance I may be road tripping here in October-ish somewhere. Not saying it's going to be Alabama. Not saying where it might be, but we'll see. I got to get caught up on things here first before I commit to staring at the highway for 16 to 20 hours.
Yeah, well, I'm
one way
coming up. I'm possibly going to be coming up to your way sometime this fall, because once I get retired, my wife and kids, they get like time off around holidays and stuff. So I told them, I was like, we could, now that I'm not going to have to go to work or anything, we could technically take a 5-day road trip and not have to worry about it. So,
well, fall down there. I'm just saying it might be winter up here by the time fall hits down there.
Well, it'll be like November around Thanksgiving.
There's this wonderful story that people, especially my age, like to tell about the Halloween blizzard.
Yeah.
So
I just dropped a link to the event that we're going to have. There's going to be some more folks coming to it that are local channels and stuff, but right now I've got the ones that have already told me they're going to be there are listed. And like I said, I'm going to be doing some giveaways, and it's going to be stuff that I can't ship. And y'all know I've been shipping about a machine a month out to some of my giveaways that I've been doing, but some of these I can't ship either because I didn't keep the box or because it's just so much of a hassle to try to disassemble stuff and put it back into, a box.
Well, and some of them are cost prohibitive to ship, some of those larger things. And so doing the meetups are kind of the way to get that done. So, but yeah, I may be on the road at some point in October. Depends on if I can find enough time to get away, or I may be hanging out at the Minnesota Woodworkers Expo. I think it's the week before your event. And I'll definitely let people know if I'm going to be in any of those areas, and then especially if I have any giveaway type things for that as well, as far as a meetup. But but we'll see. It's been a little bit busy and chaotic up here this past month. So
yeah, Tim said he's got room if anybody wants to catch a ride from North Carolina. But yeah, I've dropped the link to the event, like I said, in the group. And if y'all seriously, when I start moving around, like anytime I go out of town, I've always tried to put a post on my Facebook page about where I'm going to be. If y'all wanted to like get up and have some drinks, go get some wings or whatever. Just like when me and Steve were over in Atlanta, you can come hang out with us, eat supper. I think JR, I know he was over there with us in Atlanta for 2 or 3 nights, hung out with us. So, and when I do start traveling, like somebody said that when I start traveling, I should let people know, we'll do meets along the way. That's kind of the plan. Anytime I go somewhere, I try to post where I'm at. And if anybody, is in the area that wants to, meet up and go get some lunch or supper or whatever, then I'm always open to that. Because like I said, you guys are going to are the ones that help these channels make it and survive. And now that I'm full time, it's going to be a little bit more important to me because it's got to pay for my insurance and all of my incidentals.
I should be better about that when I'm road tripping, but oftentimes when I'm on myself, I cannonball it. I mean, I've got my powered fridge, my 12-volt powered cooler fridge thing. I barely stop long enough to get gas. And, a lot of times I have the food with me. So it's, I'll hit a rest area and make my sandwich really quick. So I'm pretty bad about hanging around in one spot too long. But
yeah. And Rob, like I said, once I get retired to where I've got, not got a bunch of other obligations, that's one thing that I plan on doing is I want to have like some shack days to where, if folks want to meet up or want to come by or whatever, I can dedicate some days or just set up appointments or whatever to meet up with folks, maybe just go grab a sandwich or something in town, whatever the case may be. Those are things that I want to incorporate also as I get closer to, or I don't get much, you can't get much closer as I get into the retirement. I got 10 days on paper and 2 days of actual work. So there's a lot of things that I want to do. Yeah, it's not gonna be a whole lot of work going on. I'm gonna show up. That's about all they're gonna get out of me.
This is the week after I let a lot of my staff take time off, and so I was like busting it at work covering things,
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, anytime, like I said, all you gotta do is email me and let me know. And if I can, I will accommodate. However, now I'm, I do have family obligations and, I still have to be places and do things, but yeah, anytime somebody's coming through, there's been a couple of people that I've met them at, Shoney's and sat down and had some lunch or whatever on their way through. So just, you never know, but it'd be cool.
All right.
October the 24th though, will we definitely be there?
How about a real laser question? Melissa's asking, what's the purpose of swapping lenses? I've heard swap the lens a few times now. They sent out a couple with my laser, but assume they sent additional in case one cracks. Now I'm curious. So it kind of depends on what people are calling the lens. On a diode laser, you do have a focus lens. What a lot of people are talking about with those is the lens cover. And so that's basically a sacrificial piece of glass that's meant to take the damage from smoke, vapors, moisture, and so that your actual focus lens doesn't have that hit it. So when the light passes through that lens, and if it does get hit with, any sort of impurities, it causes the laser beam to now interact and fracture, fuse that material to it, which ruins the beam to a degree. It'll diffuse it or block it. And so that's where just swapping it straight out for that helps. On CO2 lasers, they don't necessarily have a lens cover. They'll have the actual focal lens. So it could be the same thing. The lens may have gotten dirty or cracked or have some impurities on it, but they also have different focal distances to them, and that can affect a couple different things. On a CO2 laser, it will create the focal point is like an hourglass, and on the shorter focal lens, generally it has a sharper transition from out of focus into focus and back out of focus. When you do a longer lens, it's a little more gradual, but then the part that is in focus tends to be longer. The trade-off is that focus spot tends to be larger and wider. So the helpful part there is a shorter focal lens with a finer spot size is going to be more detailed work. It's just not going to be able to cut as well. longer focal lens, it's going to have better cutting qualities, but less detail to it. When you're talking about the Galvo lasers, it's a similar effect, but it has more to do with its spot size and getting more detail. As we've talked again, the longer lens, the wider area has a wider spot, tends to be a little more effective at cutting sometimes, but it generally is talking about the detail they can do.
Yep. It depends on which laser you're talking about swapping the lens on.
Yeah.
On diodes, the only real reason to swap a lens is because yours is messed up. That's it. Like I said, the Galvos and CO2s, it's a matter of getting a desired effect from the beam. Michael Key said, do I still have the Hurricane in service? I do, but it is at Klein's Engraving. It's not here. It's over at Klein's Engraving there. He didn't have a CO2, and he loves Atomstack. And I had my own tech. So I try not to get to where I'm like some channels to where it's like the only laser I have is X laser. You know what I mean? So I have Atomstack. And so I didn't want to let either one of my diodes go. And so I let Klein have the Atomstack Hurricane, and I used the Omtech Polar, because even though I like Atomstack, there are things about my Polar Plus that I prefer for the projects that I use a CO2 for, which are mostly just cutting acrylics and engraving tumblers is what I've been wanting one for. I had hoped the X-Tool P2 would be my tumbler engraving machine, but engraving tumblers with the X-Tool P2 is about the equivalent to getting a tooth field, in my opinion. I would rather have a tooth field than to try to engrave a tumbler with the X-Tool P2. I love X-Tool's products. The F1 Ultra, I'll engrave tumblers with it all day long. The S1, I'll enjoy, and the D1. But they were not thinking about tumblers when they built the P2. They just weren't. Now, I think they've addressed some of those issues in the new machine that they just came out with, so I've heard. But the P2, if you're in the tumbler business and you're wanting a CO2, do not get that one because it is, I'm telling you, it's a pain. You'd be better off with an S1. But I've been wanting a CO2 to do tumblers and have dedicated as a tumbler machine for quite a while. And I finally got it. And then, of course, I blew the power supply up in it. But I've got a new power supply coming. And hopefully I'll have it back going here soon. But no, the Atomstack Hurricane is over at Klein's. He loves Atomstack. He did not want to try to learn how to work a Ruida controller. And he likes GRBL controlled machines, and so it was a good fit for him. And he sent me the other day, he was working on some acrylic ornaments for Christmas for teacher stuff, and he was working on some photo holding ornaments for the sports teams and stuff. So he's getting some use out of it. It still works good, because if it didn't, he'd be calling me, telling me to come fix it. But no, I like the Atomstack Hurricane. The rotary and the riser setup that it had wasn't my favorite, but the machine itself for a CO2 machine, it wasn't bad.
Cool. Yeah, I've unfortunately haven't had a chance to see a Hurricane in person, neither the laser or the meteorological event.
Yeah, I've seen both.
I got chased out of one. I was visiting my aunt and uncle out in New Jersey years ago, and unfortunately one of those hurricanes changed direction, headed up that way. They said, you might want to get out of Dodge. So Tim Zan says, I literally just bought my first CNC and it's all Ventari's video fault. Well, sorry, not sorry.
He does that to you. The next thing you know, you'll be collecting glues.
Yeah. Well, I hope I steered you well, and hopefully you enjoy it. I do have, it's on my list of things to do some CNC work. As a matter of fact, I am going to do some stuff even with easel, knowing that not everybody wants to plunk down the money for V-carve like Dave and I like to use. Easel is a subscription-based thing, but you can get into it for like, I don't know, it's like $15 a month, give or take, to at least ease into it. And that's the software that really holds your hand through it. So hoping to do a little bit there, but also do some beginner stuff on some projects in VCarve, possibly Carve Co. Trying to cover as much base as I can, but it's also just time gets away from me these days. So, but I am excited to kind of get back into some project stuff.
Yeah, I've got Carveco too. I've got access to it now, but I just, like I said, I've been slammed trying to get caught up. I'm hoping after retirement, especially when it gets cooler and the grass quits growing and there's no yard work, maybe I can get into doing some actual tutorials inside softwares. But we'll see how that goes. What machine did you get, Tim? Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, let us know what that was.
Kevin Rich is asking, what is the difference between tumblers on a diode and a CO2? Well, Kevin, I have always done tumblers on a diode. That's I grew up doing them on diode. I've been doing them on the X-Tool S1 up until recently. But my buddy Tim here in town, he's got a Thunderbolt and he's got it set up, and I've helped him dial it in doing tumblers. And after doing a few tumblers on his Thunderbolt, I noticed the difference in the cleanliness and the forgiveness of the settings with a CO2 versus with a diode, that I just wanted one. And the big thing is you can get the same or very similar results with a diode as you can with a CO2. If you know what you're doing, take your time, do some testing, and, get everything just right. The difference is if you go too hot or too cold, which is, too fast or too slow with your settings, you're either going to get a lot of left powder coating or you're going to get the metal discolored and changed colors because of the heat. And diodes tend to be that way more so than CO2s. With a diode machine, if you're doing red tumblers, black tumblers, yellow, green, blue, all the different colors, your settings are going to change because those colors reflect that blue light at different rates. Therefore, they kind of have like a little bit of an immunity. Like a blue tumbler has heavy immunity to a blue laser because it's blue. It reflects blue light. A red tumbler actually engrave really well. Them in black are probably the two best ones to engrave with the blue laser because they don't reflect that much blue light, and so they absorb it, which means you have a more efficient burn. Whereas with a CO2 doesn't care what color it is. Once you find, okay, this is powder coated, this is the brand, this is how thick it is, that's pretty much all you got to worry about. You can do red, yellow, blue, green, purple. It don't matter. You're going to get really close to the same results all through the color spectrum. So that is where, to me, the CO2 is better, is because you don't have as many oopses and you don't have to do as much guesswork or practice in different tumblers with a CO2. So that's why I've been wanting to get one. The beam is slightly larger with a CO2, which also helps with the little tiny lines that look like scratches that you can get with a diode. If you don't defocus a diode doing tumblers, it'll look like you took a piece of sandpaper and bared down with it and slit it, and you'll have those little tiny microscopic lines. Because the dot size is so small, it actually can etch the stainless. So what I typically do with the diodes, I defocus it to spread that heat over a wider area so that I cook the powder coating off, but I don't scratch the stainless. But with the CO2, I don't have that problem. It looks like it's polished when you get done. So that's why I prefer a CO2 over a diode. And if those guys from One Laser that's making that new Vertigo or whatever that thing is, if I could get my hands on one of those, I would definitely try that out, because I think that is going to be, for people that do tumblers and stuff, that is going to be a game changer right there. That is an innovative machine. Being upright like that, so it doesn't matter how big or heavy they are. I mean, that's awesome.
Gonna have to do a lot of tumblers for that one.
Well, and when I get retired, I can. It's like me and Tim were talking the other day. He doesn't take those big tumbler orders a lot of times because he don't want to have to fill them. So,
Yeah.
That's why me and Klein typically do. Like if me and Klein are typically the ones doing tumblers in this county because he doesn't want to shut down trophy manufacturing to do tumblers.
So the question is, if we used the Polar Light with RDWorks software, still haven't gotten Light and Burn Pro since this is my first CO2. It keeps slamming into the wall when it starts up. Can't change the origin. It's been a while since I've used RDWorks, so I haven't tested it with the Polar Light. But you should be able to change the origin in the vendor settings menu of the software. I think you have to change the home individually on the accesses. So you'll want to look at that. I don't know if there's a password on the vendor settings for the Polar Light though. So, but yeah, it does need to go to that upper right. And if it's trying to force it to a different one, it's not going to hit the limit switches. The other thing is, Lightburn does have a 30-day free trial, so you can always spin up and give it a shot. See it, make sure that at least it's working in there as well.
J Cloudfather is asking, what are your thoughts on the 2 Trees 6050 CNC? I've never had a 2 Trees CNC. I can't say for sure, but I'm trying to find that 6050. Oh, there it is. But I will say that a lot of times, a lot of these machines are made from a lot of the same parts. So it looks sturdy. It actually looks.
It's got a lot of differences between the Atomstack one.
Yeah, it looks similar. But if it's a 6050, it's probably going to be about the size of the Genmitsu. Yeah, I mean, it don't look terrible. Like I said, a lot of them will have the same internal parts, but I can't say for sure on that one. It does have a mighty small spindle for such a big machine, which most of these machines do, and you'll have to upgrade that shortly after once you get used to it. It's $1,500. It's not bad for 60. Is it 60 by 50?
Mm-hmm.
It's not bad. It looks sturdy. That extrusion on the gantry looks beefy. Like I said, I can't say for sure. I know some of the 2 Trees, the older 2 Trees stuff, worked pretty well from what I saw. It's got a aluminum extrusion subfloor in it with the MDF. It doesn't look. It looks okay. That little spindle, you're going to outgrow that quick. Infrared sensing double safety. What?
I don't know.
It's got like a laser beam across the work area, so if you reach in there, it cuts itself off or something. Maybe that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I don't know. Haven't had experience with them either.
It does show a 65 millimeter spindle holder.
It looks very comparable to the SainSmart 6050, but without actually, testing it out, there can be a lot of little variances that add up. So,
it looks like it has the right stuff, but you never know until you get hold to it.
Meryl's asking, do you guys think that X-Tool's UV laser is going to be better than the Omni X? It's really hard to say. There's not a whole lot of detailed information out on it. What I will say about X-Tool is they generally do the software very well. And so that'll be kind of the interesting thing to see what they make the laser do and how easy they make the laser work with their software. That being said, ComMarker Studio, I felt was pretty intuitive, pretty simple to use. They included some material libraries, but that's also with 10 plus years experience on a lot of different tools and such. So what I find intuitive sometimes, I've actually had some softwares be difficult because they are too easy, you know, because I'm looking for the more complex. I got to do this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, no, just hold on, do this first, do that, and the other thing. So it kind of depends a little bit on your experience and whatnot. They say that it will be price comparative to others, but you know, or at least that it'll be reasonable. I forget the wording they use, but you know, Xtool tend to ask a little bit more for their stuff. So that'll be kind of the interesting thing to see where it lands. A lot of the UV lasers coming out are the 5-watt variety, so their capabilities are going to be fairly similar. It's going to really depend on what lenses they have with it, a little bit of the control and the software.
Yeah, I mean, I don't doubt it's going to be a decent machine. From what I've seen, it looks like they're going to take the F1 Ultra and just change out the source.
The F2 Ultra.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, I think the at least the prototype units are using the same frame as the F2 Ultra.
So it should work. I mean, that's one thing I'll give Xtool. Their stuff usually works. Sometimes, like you said, sometimes they try to make it so simple that it tends to be complicated. Case in point, the P2 with that tumbler thing. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't know that I'll get to actually see one, but we'll get to see what other folks think about it and see what it does. Andy says, does anyone make a 4 or 6 tumbler jig so they don't have to be done one at a time? Yes, they do. But you will definitely want to get your wallet out and maybe even like fill out a credit application because they're not cheap. I think, who was it? Was it Eon or one of them that come out with that new thing to where I saw it the other day. It's like several tumblers because it uses the X, Y, Z, and A axis, and so that it can address where all the different tumblers are. But yeah, they're out there, but you would really have to be in the tumbler business to want to go buy one.
Kind of like that vertical tumbler machine.
Yeah, well, more so than that, I think, because the machine, if I'm not mistaken, the machine that I saw this thing in, the machine itself was pricey. Yeah, there it is, Aeon.
Well, in reality is if you invest in a good rotary, and that's easy to load and unload without, you know, losing registration and such, your swap time should be fairly minimal.
Yeah, see, this is just a roller. It's $1,200.
Yeah,
and it does 6 of them. But to me, there's just so many. There's so many opportunities, in my opinion, for something to go wrong with that right there. And when it goes wrong, instead of $10, you just spent $60. So, I mean, that'd be my only concern. Is one thing to screw up on a tumbler, is another thing to screw up on 6 of them. So, I'm not saying that it can't be done. I just don't know. Like, if I were going to do it, I would have multiple machines. That's how I would go about it. But yeah, Eon, I don't forget which machine you have to use that thing. It may work with all their machines, but the setup process was pretty intense because you basically have to index the rotary so that it knows exactly where each tumbler is located, and it'll engrave one and then go to the other one, engrave it, go to the other one, engrave it. But you still have to take 6 tumblers out and put 6 back. So I don't really see to where it would increase my work performance that much to justify it. First of all, I can't afford a Aeon laser in my shop anyway. I can do the same job with other machines that cost less. Yeah. So I can't justify it doing what I do. But you know, it's cool.
Well, Rob's asking, I do have a serious question. I went from diode to a CO2, and it seems that the diodes give a darker burn. Is this common? Is there a way to get darker burns on the CO2? It's an Ohmtech MF1624 60 watt. So yeah, the diodes have a more of a sintering burn. The CO2s are more efficient. So by that nature, you're going to get more efficient cuts with the CO2, but it's also going to be a lighter color engrave when properly focused and run. So the trick there is generally just to defocus a little bit. So raise your focus up, maybe like 2 or 3 millimeter. It shouldn't affect your engraving. At that point, it shouldn't visibly affect your engraving, but it will kind of defocus that beam and it will burn more than cut. And it tends to add a little more darkness to it. So playing around with your focus is kind of your best bet there. If you add speed or power, it tends to more adjust your depth on the engraves with CO2s.
Yeah. Yeah, Tim, the P3 is an awfully big machine. If you got a big desk, but that new P3 that the X2 will come out with is pretty big. Like Travis said, the P2 is what I have, which is like the 20 by 12 ish work area, and it's not a bad machine. For cutting flat stuff, engraving flat wood, it works great. The only complaint I have with the P2 really is it sucks at tumblers. And the riser was the riser's a little ganky. They should have at least put me a Power Z in the riser for the price of the machine. I would like to have saw the riser have an adjusting bed instead of like trays like an oven's got. That was the only two complaints I had with the P2. But for cutting acrylic, like if you're just using it without the riser, cutting acrylic, it's great.
Yeah, on thinner, flatter material like that, without the riser, P2 is a really nice machine. Works really well with their dual camera alignment stuff. P3 looks great. A lot of automated features that, if they work, awesome. If they don't, this is where it's going to be interesting, because a lot of manufacturers are kind of going this way of adding some of these features and smart tools and such. I think it's going to make it hard for places like Lightburn to keep up with that. So I'm curious how well this is going to stick. Is it going to be more of just a prosumer thing, but the more the industrial lasers stay as they are, or are we going to see more of this? Because it's going to force software development by each individual machine maker. And so that is going to get frustrating for some people that maybe need to have 2 or 3 different styles of lasers, and now they have to run 2 or 3 different types of software and such. So much like your car, it's great when all those fancy new features work, but as it gets older, how do they hold up?
Yeah. Smoking Notes is asking, either of you had any experience with Axis Create CNCs? I can't say that I have. I can't say I've ever heard of them. There's a lot of CNC companies out there that I've never heard of, though. So,
yeah,
because there's a lot of CNC companies.
There's a lot of, both in kind of like, you get into the very like beginner hobbyist ones. I mean, you'll see some of these just no name brands with the little sling bed CNCs and lasers out there, and then you even get into some of more of the industrial ones where they're all sorts of weird names as well, and weird companies that they're probably some really nice machines, but they're just not as, they don't have the marketing channels, they're not out there as popular, so it's tough to get experience with them all. So, but no, I don't have any experience with that one. So, well,
their prices, I'm hoping, are in yen and not dollars. Because it's like, it's showing a 4040 costing $8,999, but I'm pretty sure that's like the yen or something. It's not a dollar symbol. But I changed it to United States, but the currency still hasn't changed. But yeah, I would, I don't know. I mean, it looks similar to what we're typically messing with. Like I said, a lot of the same materials and builds are going to go into it. And as of right now, if you want out of the box CNC that works on a budget, Fox Alien and the Genmitsu 4040 Pro Max and the Fox Alien machines The Masuda 3S especially is a very capable machine. This Atomstack, I think, is going to be a contender for the beginner CNC market. I think it's going to be a real contender. They've got a couple of little small things that they need to work out with the drive system, but I think it's a simple enough fix. I think I will tell you this: their little dust collection is bad. That thing is awesome. Whether the Atomstack machine stays or not, that dust collection is staying.
My sticking point on it, and I've asked them this, and I'm waiting to hear on it. If they don't come out with a 65 millimeter mount, they're not in the running, because
true.
Eventually, you're going to want to upgrade to a bigger spindle.
Well, they said that was coming,
but until we see it,
But they got to fix this drive. They got to fix this drive issue too, because not everybody's going to want to do like me and you are and take the lead screw out and clean it and oil it and adjust everything. It needs to be out of the box, ready to go. So that's right now the Genmitsu 4040 Pro Max and the Fox Alien Masuda 3S are my two. If you were getting into it, those are two that I feel confident you could take them out of the box, put them together, and go to creating stuff and not have any trouble. And be able to make like legit stuff. The Kubiko, some of these other machines, you can mess around and do CNC things. But if you're wanting to do like stuff like this, you're pushing the envelope with these 500-600 watt spindles. I mean, you need to get into the router or the VFDs to be able to do that. Unless you got 8 hours, which is what it took me to do that one.
Corey's asking, any opinion on One Laser? I know how you feel about Thunder, and they're supposedly going through Thunder for parts and other things, I believe. Don't have any experience directly with One Laser. From what I understand, it was some people that used to work for Omtech spun this up, and yeah, they are. I know they're probably putting their spin on it, but you kind of hit the nail on the head there. You're getting a rebranded Thunder Laser for the most part. As far as I understand, I said, I haven't seen them side by side, and it's hard to say that with any certainty without seeing both of them. But it feels like you're paying a little bit more for mostly getting a Thunder Laser.
Yeah, there's some differences. Like the with the One Laser, you have to get the riser, and it's kind of like the X Tool riser. It's not like the bolt. The Thunder bolt. Like it's got a addressable Z. Basically, the honeycomb moves up and down, whereas the One Laser that looks kind of like a Thunderbolt, you have to buy the base for it. Because I looked at it, I was thinking about getting one of them over a Thunder, and then I got to looking at that base with the riser and everything, and I'm like, I'm going to be in the same boat I was in with the P2 with that riser. So I chose not to go that route. But then again, cutting sheet metal, cutting sheet goods like wood and acrylic, maybe what you want. But you have to get, what do they call it something else. They don't call it a riser. They call it something else. But it's
booster.
Yeah. And it's got like, it doesn't have a power Z or anything in it. A power lift. Like it has like oven racks. Like where you got like the X-Tool did, because it only has limited movement in the Z-axis on the gantry. But yeah, I had looked at them. I had looked at Omtech, and I had looked at Thunder. Right now, I'm torn between if I ever do upgrade to a different machine, I'm looking at a Thunder or Omtech. So, for like a bigger machine. Miles says, did the Atomstack come with Cosmoline on the screws? It's what it felt like. Yeah. Like it reminded me of a brand new M16A1. Like
I think it was even stickier than that.
It was bad. like it put so much extra pressure on those lead screws that it was causing some of the friction connection points to slip. And I thought that's all that it was. And then Steve said that he thought there might be some adjustment needed in the anti-backlash nuts. And so when I did my X and my Y and just cleaned them and tightened everything up and everything worked fine. But then the Z, the Z kept messing up. And that's when I decided to try the backlash nut. And sure enough, that was one of my problems. The other problem was the honey that had got poured all over the metal.
Yeah, it's just when they start trying to move too fast or have to impart too much force, the stepper starts losing steps and skipping, and it's all in all not good. So just some things that need to be worked out in the kind of the assembly and maybe some of the lubricant that's being used and such. Just if everything's too tight, everything has to be exact. The idea is the backlash nut is it helps put a little bit of pressure on there so that it doesn't have that so much wobble when it changes directions. But if that's too tight, then it's almost causing more binding than it is helping. So
yeah, because now you've got 2 points of contact that have added resistance to that sticky stuff.
Yeah.
Because that backlash nut basically is just sitting there pushing on the threads in the like opposite directions. It's got a spring that does that, and so it's already enhancing a little bit of friction there. And you throw some sticky material on there, it's bad. But now I will say this: you put some LA Awesome on there, it kind of foams up a little bit, and it'll wipe right off.
Yep.
Travis is saying the Genmitsu Reno CNC works well. I have expanded and modified mine to 6080, added a router, a 3D printer, dust boot, just put a relay switch on it. All cost less than 800. Yeah, the Reno's not bad. The ones that I saw, what was it? The gantry was a little thinner. Like it wasn't quite as rugged as the Max, Pro Max or whatever. They did a lot of work on the gantry on the Pro Max. But yeah, the Genmitsu, I've had good luck with Genmitsu machines so far. As long as you understand that, there's limits to the hardware.
There are, but that 3020 Pro Max, I was able to push pretty hard.
That thing's built like a tank. The work area is small, but it's out.
Small work area, but hard to break.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they made that one more towards doing like aluminum machining because it has
it's
aluminum bed and everything.
It's a small part metal machine or like a large PCB machine. You can definitely do some woodworking type things on it, but
yeah,
it's definitely built stout and rigid for machining small metal parts.
Yeah, now that Genmitsu 6050 that me and you had, you put a Makita router on that thing, that's a beast. I tell you what would be cool is to get this Fox Alien 1.5 kW spindle and put it on that 6050. That would be pretty sweet. Because that would be twice as powerful as the router almost.
Yep.
So Klein's got my 6050 too.
Jeffrey says my diode module fan stopped working, but laser still works. Do the fan and the laser head share any wiring? It's an MK2 20 watt. I haven't taken that apart, but yeah, I think the power module goes in the laser, and isn't there a breakout board that the fan plugs into?
Yeah.
Within the module?
I think. And then the PMW wire just basically turns it on and off.
Yeah.
The power's already there, but it would be easy enough to take a volt ohm meter and check the output going to that fan. If it's getting output, my guess is the fan spun out. Would be my guess. But it'd be easy enough to check the output because I would imagine that would be on the MK2. That's going to be probably a 24 or 12. It's probably a 12 volt fan. The module I think runs on 24, but I think the fan's going to be 12.
Yeah, those fans can fail just itself. So I would.
He says the fan is melted. So yes, probably bad. Because if it got hot enough to melt, it's that's no good. You didn't have nothing obstructing the airway, did you? Or didn't let it get too crowded or cluttered up? Because that was one of my only complaints with the Lasermatic, Rolly, whichever you want to call it, was the way the ventilation was. It sucked a lot of that debris through the module. That was, like I said, that was probably the only gripe that I had about it, is that they should have put the exhaust lower in that chassis, because it had a pretty deep pan in the chassis.
Yep. Directed T3CH says software is huge. I'm testing the Tour R2 and the app is rough. Yeah, I would agree. There's you can definitely tell the software or the hardware companies that spend time with their software, which software can break good hardware. And so when you have to use an app that is not well thought out, is very frustrating. Personally, I know a lot of people ask, hey, can I use my tablet for this laser and such? And for me personally, I would be frustrated having to use a tablet. For me, I'm not as good with a pen enabled device as I am, say, a mouse when making my changes, and a keyboard when typing and such. So I can get it if you're just trying to take a graphic or a photo and engrave it, it might work, but for the more advanced stuff, it's not something I want to play with. So a lot of them have, their mobile apps, and I'm kind of like, can I just turn this off?
Yeah, and that I'm gonna be honest with you, that's the reason a lot of times I know these companies are like, automatic batch engraving. Okay, I'm OCD. Y'all saw when I was trying to engrave this little plug over here just to show you guys what it would do. If I hadn't have put that logo in the center of that plug, I would have had to throw it away, because I couldn't have it in my shop with the logo being off-centered. I'm OCD, all right? So if you tell me that a machine, I'm going to be able to throw stuff on the bed of it, and it's going to automatically engrave those items. If it's 1 millimeter out of the center of that item, that's not acceptable for me. All you're doing is wasting my blanks. So I have a hard time with this automatic batch engraving stuff. There's been 4 companies that have sent me machines that they claimed it could do it. I've tested all 4 of them, and like 50% were, if you can get 50% of them acceptable by my standards, you're doing really good. Typically it was like 30% by my standards. Now, other people's standards, it might have been 50%, but I would rather have a machine cheaper that I had to take a little bit of time and build a jig for or frame for, and just do it that way. That way I know it's right, and if it's not going to get screwed up and screw up my blanks. Because when you're doing, 50-cent keychains, that's one thing. But when you've got a jewelry box that costs $60 that somebody brought you to engrave, and you try to use this technology and there's a hiccup in the software, and now you've got a $60 jewelry box with an offset logo that's not in the center, you just bought that, and that gets expensive. So I would rather it take me a little longer and know when I hit that start button, know beyond a shadow of a doubt that that's going to be exactly where I want it to be. So until a company can deliver me that, I'll take me a semi-smart machine or a dumb machine all day long. Brian, we don't have a whole lot of, she don't have a whole lot of jewelry, but yeah, that's not how I want to get her a jewelry box for sure. But
JJ Outdoors is asking, if either of you were to buy a large format laser of 24 by 36 work area, what brand would you recommend? It's going to depend a little bit on budget. In that size, I'm looking at a CO2 laser, and budget wise, I'd probably be looking at the what is it? The Omtech Polar. They have a
no, they have the Omtech. It's not the Polar.
not the Polar. Oh, sorry, yeah, not the Polar, but the Pronto, right?
Yeah, so they have the Pronto, and then they have the new Pro Series. The Pronto is more budget friendly. But yeah, they have a 43-inch wide work area, I think it is, that I've been looking at. And I've thought about, well, heck, if I'm gonna get 43, I might as well get 48. That way I can just slide a sheet of plywood into it. But you start talking about getting 48-inch wide cut. Now you're looking at a machine that's 60 something inches wide. So I don't know, but if I do go and get myself another CO2, it's going to have to be big enough to do stove covers in. But the problem that I have with doing my stove covers on a CO2 is, like we discussed earlier, it's hard to get a dark burn with a CO2, especially pine, because it just don't burn as it burns more of a yellow than it does a brown. And I make a lot of money off these stove covers, and I need a dark engrave, and I know I can do that with my diode machines. I don't know that I could get that nice dark burn with a CO2, but I also do a lot of the cutouts and the names from my party planner, and those, it would be better if I had a clean edge on them so I didn't have to clean the soot off of it. So it's a 6 of one, half a dozen of the other situation. But yeah, the Omtech is probably going to be where I end up landing based on product as well as price, because I think they got a decent balance for working class folks.
Yeah. So if I was a hobbyist / trying to spin up or invest in my small business, wanted to get something in that range without the biggest cost, it'd probably be the Pronto 40. It's a 90 watt CO2. It has roughly that 24 by 36. I think it's actually 24 by 35. So it depends on how hard set you are on that last inch. Otherwise, if you've got a bigger budget, I'd probably be looking at the Thunder Nova series. Beyond that, you're probably if your budget's bigger than that, happy for you. But I even think at that point, I'm like, well, I can buy 2 of these for one of those. What am I looking for? Production or spending my money on one machine, because part of my backup plan would always be, if my machine goes down, how do I keep running? And in some ways you might rely on that business level service. Well, they still might be a day or two from diagnosing your problems, and who knows when they can send parts and or a tech out. Whereas if you can invest that same money in 2 machines, assuming you have the space to run them, it keeps you running just maybe at half capacity. So
yeah, see, this is the one I've been kind of eyeballing. This is the Omtech Pro 3655. It comes with 130 or 150 watt CO2. Has a built-in chiller, autofocus. So it's got, was it 36 by 55 work area? So that is a massive work area. And it's got the 4-way pass-throughs. I mean, so it's a very capable machine, but it's, just under $10,000 as well. So yeah, this is one of the ones I've been eyeballing, and it's because it's, like I said, 35 by 55. That's a massive work area to be able to do projects with. So, and with the 4-way pass through, I mean, it adds you a little more versatility. But that one would be like, it would, like Steve said, I'm kind of torn between that and one of the Thunders, but economically speaking, that machine's cheaper, but the Thunder maybe just a touch better quality, maybe. I don't know. I haven't really seen under the hood of either one.
yeah, that's not the one I was going to show.
All right, that's me.
That's interesting.
But
let's try that again. There we go. This is the one I was talking about. So with the external water chiller, it's $5,500. So yeah, it's kind of the next model down, or the series down from the Pro one he showed. But from my standpoint, with what I'm doing in my shop, within that 24 by 35, not quite 36. This would probably be what I'm looking at just within my budget and what I find I need it to do. So
yeah. Now
that being said, I haven't had my hands on this one yet. So
yeah, I could get by with that one there. And I could get by. They have a smaller one in that Pro Series. But I keep telling myself if I'm gonna buy a bigger CO2, I need to buy a bigger CO2. You know, my plan is to keep a couple of my enclosed diodes here and keep them working because, like I said, it's hard for me to replace this setup I got over here for my stove covers and stuff. Now I ain't gonna lie, I very well may take this new Atomstack 120 and do what I told them they need to do and make it into a 450 by 800 machine and slap it in enclosure Zilla over here. I haven't ruled that out yet. So, because I like that machine, I don't have an enclosure big enough for it to fit in, nor do I have a need for a 800 by 800 machine right now. Unless I build this table. I do have a table blueprint drew up in my head that I may build, and if I do, I can put it in the table closure, as I'm going to call it. Tim said he paid $8,500 for his used Thunder Nova 51. Yeah, and like I said, it just depends on what you have space for, what you have the budget for, and what you plan on doing with it. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. If either one of the Thunder or Omtech hit me with the right bargain deal, that would sway me too. I ain't going to lie. Because they know it's going to be used in video. So if either one of them was like, hey, we'll give you 50% off or whatever, that would probably sway my decision as well. Because I've actually emailed Omtech and asked them, hey, what kind of, cooperation could I get, knowing that this machine is going to be used in a whole bunch of videos, but it's been crickets from them so far. So I don't know. And Thunder, let's face it, guys, I don't look that good in tight pants. Because, I know Brett over at Brett's Laser Garage tried it. I don't think it worked for him. But I can't even get Thunder to return my calls. All right, Pop's asking, when you do your giveaways, how do you get your machines? Are they donated to you, or do you have to fund them yourselves? I don't buy them typically. These are machines that we do reviews on and use for a while. I may use them in the shop for a little while and then knock the dust off of them and pass them off to somebody else.
Now, in some cases, like last year when we did our big holiday giveaway, we did reach out to some of the companies that we had worked with and said, hey, would you be willing to, sponsor this and ship it out? And so then basically we gave them the information of the winners. And so that was a brand new machine shipped from the companies in those cases. But yeah, when it's kind of our one-off ones, they tend to be review units that we've done the review. There's no future work required from it, and we'd rather see it used in someone else's shop. They're definitely a channel supporter than sitting collecting dust in ours. So we try to do that whenever possible. Sometimes you have to hold them on for various reasons. Sometimes I know both Clack and I have worked with some area organizations. I've been talking a little bit with our local makerspace about some of what they could maybe use as well. We spread it around. So
yeah, and I will say this too. I don't want to give away too many details, but this year's Christmas special is going to be a good one. So everything's already in the works for this year. So if you got friends that are into this kind of thing, make sure to tell them they need to come check us out, because we're going to be growing and doing more coming up here around Christmas. And there's no telling what else, because like I said, I'm fixing to be going full time. So I'm gonna start doing some different things. I've got several ideas kind of brewing around, but haven't got them. Haven't gotten any of it going just yet. Burn carve print. I have needed a bigger shop forever. I've got stuff stuck in places like shops and buildings that it ain't supposed to be in. Like I've got machines where I'm supposed to have wood storage. There's just because a lot of the machines you can't get rid of because like they've got other parts coming they want you to test or whatever. So I try to keep the machines, especially when they're new. That way, if somebody says, "Hey, I'm having this problem," I can go to the machine and try to simulate the problem that they're having or whatever. And so you try to hold on to as many of them as you can for as long as you can. But there comes a point where it's like there's no room. There's no more room. Things have got to be moved. So let's see.
John's asking if you tried the X-Tool P3 yet. No, we haven't. X-Tool has kind of changed some of the way they're working with some places and some people, and so they haven't offered those up to us yet. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see if we get a chance to get our hands on that or not. Never hurts if you send a note to X-Tool saying, "Hey, I value these guys' opinions," but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not against it, but like Steve said, they changed the way they do business, and their idea of doing business and my idea of doing business didn't quite line up the way that maybe others did. Because let's see, what was it they wanted? Hang on, let me read this, make sure I'm quoting it correctly. 15 videos a year, 6 videos featuring new products, and 15 videos a year is a lot of videos to dedicate to one company. And like I said, me and Steve try to maintain our impartiality because we don't really. I mean, we're going to tell you the truth on which machine best suits your need. And it doesn't matter because it's not like we're like Team X-Tool. I mean, I got affiliate links for ComMarker, Omtech, Monport, all of them. So it doesn't matter to me which machine you get. But yeah, their idea of what I should do for them and my idea of what I should do for them wasn't the same idea. And so I haven't been selected to get any of their new stuff. So,
and I wasn't given that offer, but they've pushed me to push all their sales. They always ask, "Hey, we have this new sale coming up. Can you do a video?" And I tell them, I'm like, I'm more about the education and looking at equipment, telling people how it works in my shop, telling them how to use it, not so much on sales. So they apparently haven't liked that answer.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, and I'm sure that they have their reasons, just like I have mine. And it's business decision. It's a business decision on their part as well as mine, and it ain't nothing personal. So,
well, Cody's here. I guess we got to start over.
Oh, Cody. Yeah, I got to place an order with you, Cody. I'm gonna learn my lesson one of these days.
Apparently, he's gonna get a new shop before you. Needs more room. Cody just got a new cool machine.
I feel like you're going to have to pay movers to move that machine. Good night, man.
Yeah,
I would do a bigger building around that building so you don't got to move the machine.
I worry about ever having to move my workshop, and it's nowhere near the hassle of the stuff. Some of the things that Cody's got in his shop for the grinder and the support equipment for it. So,
yeah, he's got equipment that you got to go get an insurance policy before you can move it.
Yeah,
but I need more room, and maybe one day. But see, here's my this is my business principle right here. Is if I'm not in debt, and if I don't have to make $10,000 a month to keep my head above water, then I can just chill and relax. But if I go build me a nice new shop and I get it to where I got to have so much money, it's going to get to where it's more of a job to me than what I want it to be. So I'm trying to maintain that balance of it's still fun. You know what I mean? I don't want to get to where I'm like, I got to go out to the shop and go to work.
You know, I'm starting to wonder now because Cody's been bugging me about coming down and seeing the new machine. I think he's just looking for people that he can sucker into helping him move.
You're going to need to take a piece of equipment with you for that. I mean, I know you're a big boy and all, but
I need my lifting belt and
you need to take your forklift keys.
Randy Ryan's forklift with that.
No, don't use Ryan's
breaks him out.
Don't use Ryan's forklift. That thing will be going down the road and lickety split.
Yeah. Well, anyway. Well, Cody, glad you made it for the last few minutes.
Yeah.
Hopefully the shop work goes well. Or the shopping.
We do plan on, so far, unless something big changes, we do plan on being in Vegas for CES coming up. But yeah, I'll try to keep patient zero from coming over to your place, Cody. Because he went like spreading the love last time he was over there.
Well, maybe I'll get to time my flu shot better this year, maybe, or something. But yeah, looking at that, that's I was actually looking at the registration info for that. There's a cutoff when it's cheaper, so we should probably make some plans or decisions on that.
I plan on going. I mean, I don't know if I'll be going, how many more I'm going to be going to as far as laser, CNC, whatever shows, but I do plan on going to that one. I want to try to do a little better job of getting to see everything this year.
Yeah.
Because last year we just
Last year was the drink from the fire hose and learn what it's all about.
Yeah, last year was orientation.
So, but yeah, there's other things to keep an eye out next year. The next level laser conference, which is towards the end of August, they're doing the next level maker conference. So that's something to keep the eye on. Of course, for me, unfortunately, that always lands right around semester startup. So it's bad enough that CES is at semester startup for spring, but that one's always easier. Most of the faculty and staff and a lot of the students are just returning. They're not fresh off of a summer vacation. So, but yeah, definitely some things coming up over the next few months to keep an eye on.
Yeah. I guess it's Eileen says, I was just going to say that maybe we should email X2. Want to see your reviews. Like I said, we had a really good working relationship with them for the longest. My guy that I dealt with never told me what to say or never wanted to see the videos ahead of time. Like, I mean, it was perfect the way that I would want to get it done. And then about the time they changed and went to this new contract system, I told him, I was like, look, dude, we've worked together for a long time. I just don't feel like I want to be obligated to this standard. I mean, that's a lot. That's 15 videos for X-Tool a year. I mean, I might as well change my channel to the X-Tool Shack, I mean, because that's a lot of videos in a year. And he's like, I understand, blah, blah, blah. Well, then the next thing I know, he didn't work there no more. So it was crickets forever. Yeah. I didn't hear from anybody. I finally had to reach out and like, hey, is anybody home? Hello? And come find out my guy didn't work there no more. And I didn't nobody, I guess I didn't get handed off or whatever. So it's been a little bit different.
And same thing for me. I've had the same rep for most of the time I was there. I have been there, and I still appreciate them as a company. I just put out a video using the S1. I still really like that laser. I still have the P2 in my shop. I still use the F1 on the road. Now the F1 Ultra, I just did that Ohmtech Solus, and I mean, that's got a little more power in the fiber. It's a pretty decent laser as well. So that one's got a little bit of run for its money on that one, but they still create some quality stuff. Now they've been kind of wandering more into some industrial stuff, some, their apparel printer, the metal fab thing. And so they've kind of gotten away from the entry level diode laser market. So we'll see if they come back with a revision to the S1. I would love to continue to work with them on things, but definitely not in any sort of exclusive manner, and much more in a educational manner of sense. So yeah, that's just kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, the from the F1 Ultra back, I like them. Like the F2 Ultra, it's getting you know, it's still not a bad machine, but like that big P3, that thing, I mean, to me, that's you got just about have a business, or either you're really serious at your hobby to justify that. That's a big machine.
Well, it's kind of getting into like like we were just talking about the Ohmtech and the Thunder Power or Thunder Laser machines. You're getting a little more serious at that point. Or you got just a lot of fun money and more power to you.
You're serious about your hobby. I know people that are serious about their hobby, you know, that will do it. But you know, and I guess if I could pick one hobby and stick with it, maybe I could do that. But I can't. I got too many hobbies. But anyway, whew. But yeah, I'm gonna be hopefully moving on to doing some stove covers this week. But I will say this: if you have a small CNC like this one or something similar to it, or one of the Genmitsus, out of this whole CNC kit that Atomstack has sent me, the part that I like the most is that dang dust collection. That little thing is highly portable, simple, but very effective. I'm impressed with that little thing. Like I have been running the stew out of it, and it has done me a good job. Now I did have to make a base for it because they screwed up on that and didn't make a base. Look at that. I did have to make a base because they had it in like two parts. But look how much dust is in that. That thing's been running that 8-hour engrave, and I didn't have to do hardly any cleanup. But yeah, this is like they did good on this. The hoses kind of bother me a little bit. I kind of wish I had like a different setup, but yeah, this little thing works good. So I don't know how much they're selling this for, but it is very handy for a portable, like set it on the counter type little setup. This is cool. So far, this has worked great.
Yeah, I don't know that they have that separate, but
well, I'm sure they will have because I'm gonna tell them they need to.
Well, but I mean, I was just gonna say, I mean, it's a small shop vac with a cyclone and such, and you can get those cyclone adapters pretty inexpensively. So, and they all work pretty well.
Yeah, that little thing, like I'm impressed with that little thing. I've never had one that small. Like it's not like a shop vac where it's just blazing loud. That little vacuum is tolerable. So it works.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got mine.
Where's the Atomstack? Is that the Atomstack one back there?
The Atomstack is sitting on the Onefinity right there.
The table Finity.
I don't have any other space for it right now.
Oh, I can't say nothing. That's where I had to put the glacier over there on top of the Shipoko because that's the only work area I had big enough to hold it.
Yeah, well, that's the glacier is taking up my whole. I had to expand the assembly table there for that, and so yeah, yeah. See, I need to process more of this wood.
Well, get to CNC and some stuff up.
Oh, I need time. So, but anyway, well, we've gone 2 hours 15 minutes. Any last thoughts?
If you hadn't already, go check out the Laser Engraving community page. That is kind of our little I guess you would say fireside area where we all sit and share things and talk and ask questions and all that good stuff. There's also a map on there that we haven't really talked about the map in a while. Steve worked diligently to get that up and going, but you can go in the description of this video and any of our lives. You can go and add yourself to the map. And when we do start traveling, like we talked about earlier, we'll be able to look at the map and say, okay, there's a clump of people that watch that live here. And so that might be something, some information we can use when traveling to set like, you know, little stop offs and visits up with. So that's all I got.
Cool. Yeah. I'm hopefully we'll see how much time I get tonight, but I am going to be finishing up the edit and the thumbnail and all that jazz for the Count Marker Omni X. So, you know, of course, the 3D crystal engraving, but I'll touch a little bit on the other features with that. So look for that hopefully tomorrow afternoon. And then, yeah, I'll be working, like I said, on some additional projects. Got the Atomstack CNC on the CNC to work with. Got that little Atomstack at layer, however we say that. But definitely more projects to come. And looking forward to that, along with fall weather for the 2 days. We're going to get it before it snows in October. And that might be my excuse to run off and hit up Alabama or Arizona.
Oh, and I may, y'all keep your eyes peeled. I may actually try to do some type of a live or something this week. Because for those of you that missed it, I got 2 more days. I got 2 more show ups at my job, at my day job. I'm not gonna call it days of work. I'm just gonna say I got 2 more show ups. I got 2 more days I got to show up for, and then I am out here full time. Like this will be my job. So nervous and glad and happy and all at the same time. So y'all pray for me. Let's make sure it works out. I really, really like to eat. So,
You don't say.
Yeah, I can't be going without food. But that's it. That's all I got.
All right. Cool stuff. Well, have a good week, everyone. We'll see you on the YouTube videos or Clax Live. Otherwise, we'll be back here next Sunday night.
Yep.
7 p.m. Same time, same channels.
Y'all have a good one. See ya.